Hello, I'm Neil Nunes with the BBC News. Major U.S. share indexes have closed strongly higher after 11 U.S. private banks said they've come up with a multi-billion-dollar rescue package for the embattled First Republic Bank. First Republic's shares closed up 10% on news of the rescue package. U.S. regulators welcome the deal. More now from Samira Hussain.
In recent days, depositors at First Republic have withdrawn billions of dollars, worried that it is on the verge of collapse. The failure of two U.S. banks had spooked investors who were wondering which bank could be the next to fail. Now, the biggest of the American banks have stepped in. 11 companies have agreed to make $30 billion of uninsured deposits in First Republic, in the hope this will be enough to shore up confidence in the whole banking system.
There have been scuffles between French police and demonstrators in the vast Place de la Concorde across the river from the National Assembly in Paris. Protesters are angry at President Macron pushing through his divisive pension reform bill, circumventing a parliamentary vote. Hugh Schofield says an opposition no-confidence vote in Mr. Macron is unlikely to succeed.
The thing about the French opposition is that it's very divided. There's the far right, there's the left and the far left, and then there's the conservative opposition. For a censure motion to pass, all those three elements would have to come together to support the motion, and I think that's pretty unlikely. So the government probably will survive, and probably this pension change will go through. But it's a government that will have been weakened, and a government that knows that this protest movement, which has been developing for the last couple of months, is going to continue and probably intensify.
The U.S. has welcomed the first meeting of the Japanese and South Korean leaders for 12 years, calling them indispensable allies. The State Department said improved ties would promote opportunities to advance regional and international priorities. The meeting between the Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida and South Korea's President Yoon Suk-yeol was designed to help reset trade and diplomatic ties. Here's João de Silva in Singapore.
The timing of this is, of course, crucial. Japan and South Korea agreeing to turn the page on years of animosity at a time when the rivalry between the US and China is only really intensifying. Also a time when access to the global semiconductor supply chain has become an issue of vital importance for the world's two largest economies. All of this, of course, comes at a time at which naturally both sides see China as increasingly assertive in the region.
The United Nations nuclear watchdog says it's working to verify reports that 10 barrels of missing uranium have been found in Libya. The military force that backs the rival administration in eastern Libya says it found the missing material close to the Chad border. This is the world news from the BBC. North Korea has justified the launch of an intercontinental ballistic missile on Thursday as a tough response to the ongoing U.S.-South Korea military exercises in the region. Photos showed the North Korean leader Kim Jong-un watching the launch of the Hwasong-17 with his daughter. He accused the drills of increasing tensions and said the launch intended to strike fear into the country's enemies. It's the third such launch since Sunday. The Pentagon says it's not seen any evidence of China providing lethal military assistance to Russia in its war in Ukraine. U.S. media reports suggest Beijing has supplied Chinese-made weapons. The Pentagon spokesperson is Brigadier General Patrick Ryder.
It's something that we're keeping a very close eye on. I know there's some press reports out there talking about some trade deals. That in and of itself is not unusual. China and Russia share a trade relationship, but the key point is that as of right now, we've not seen any lethal assistance transferring from China to Russia for use on the battlefield in Ukraine.
A third major drugs manufacturer has decided to cut the cost of its insulin products in the United States. The French firm Sanofi said it would slash its most prescribed insulin by almost 80%, mimicking similar reduction by Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk earlier this month. President Biden lowered the cost of insulin to older and some disabled Americans receiving federal health care through the Inflation Reduction Act last year. The famous Moulin Rouge Cabaret in Paris has bowed to pressure to abandon a daily stage act using non-aquatic snakes submerged in water. Animal rights campaigners said they had seen the two land-based pythons trying to keep their heads above the surface, and the mayoral office in Paris said the act did not take the reptiles' natural behavior into account. BBC News.